Yeah, I'll read everyone, like. Welcome to the In the Stiffs podcast, like. With me, Sammy Easton from the Toon, with me pals, Gav Cowan and Dave Edwards. So Sam's missing. Why is he missing, Dave?
He's in Dubai.
It was around March. I hadn't really trained with the first team. Steve Cottrell took over the reins with the first team.
Love Chris Gasper, but
Thanks for the opportunity, but all the best. Take care.
You know, it's a roller coaster in football, and you've got to deal with a lot of setbacks. Gary left, and Paul Simpson came in, and he had other ideas again. That was eye-opening. Mrs. was like, honeymoon to pay for, wedding, where are we going from here? And I remember saying to a lot, I'll play in the Premier League. What if you're having Chinese and these fast foods, Domino's and KFC, and they're horrendous for the body. So it wasn't just luck. Every day in training, we've been working on it, patterns of play, and bringing out the best of each other. Beaten 3-0, got promoted that night, but we hadn't won the league, but we ended up going out anyway, having a great time. About 18 pre-seasons, and I don't want football to retire me. I want to retire from the game and go into something I love and I'm really passionate about.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of In the Stiffs with me, Sam the Forehead Easton. Dave, did you know I played in the Euros, Edwards, and Gavin, gorgeous Gavin Cowan. That's decent, I think.
yeah, you might notice we're missing someone, aren't we, Gav?
We are missing someone. It feels better already.
It does.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable, more relaxed.
More prepared.
I feel like I've got more ownership. I feel like some of us can get a word in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam's missing. So why is he missing, Dave?
He's in Dubai, isn't he?
Wasted on him, innit?
Yeah, this podcast stuff's gone to his head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dubai?
Yeah, he hasn't even had his royalties yet.
No.
He's spending all of his In the Stiffs royalties, isn't he?
Well, we actually owe money.
Yeah, we've got no money. He doesn't know that yet, though.
Yeah.
I've been proper bigging it up to him, so he keeps turning up and doing the scripts for us. But it's wasted on him, Dubai. Anyone who knows Sam knows that, he might as well be in the Coracle.
Yeah.
He'll have a good time in there. So he's like, I'm having a great time in Dubai. I'm like, of course you are. You have a good time in your front room.
Yeah. But we've got a special guest today, haven't we?
Yeah.
So let's introduce him. Footballer, ex-footballer, 517 appearances, 67 of those in the Premier League, 84 goals, playing for 8 different clubs, now retired, a health and wellness coach, nutritionist, PT, speaker, maker of the best roast dinner you'll ever see. Welcome to In the Stiffs, Mark Pugh.
Cheers for having me, lads.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Thanks for coming today. I know the conditions were that you'd only do the podcast if Sam wasn't here.
Yes.
So
it was a must.
Yeah, we made that happen. We got it in, didn't we? So obviously we know that you've come explicitly for us today. You solely for us, but you've actually got some stuff going on later in the day, haven't you, for Shrewsbury Town? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm working with the academy lads and under 16s, 12s, 13s, so parents, Digs members as well. So some of the lads are in Digs, so I think it's really important to educate them as well on good nutrition and what to fuel the players. So it's becoming more and more important. Back in our day, when you won a game, you go out, you have a good time, and you've got a game on a Tuesday.
Don't know what you're on about, Pugh. Don't know what you're on about, mate. It wasn't me.
But when you've got a Tuesday night game now, especially, you've got to recover properly. Nutrition's a big part in that, and what you fuel your body really sets you up for success, in my opinion.
Yeah, we want to talk a bit more about that later, don't we? But,
yeah, definitely.
When it's pretty extraordinary, you're very well-rounded in terms of everything it is to be a footballer, and that's why I was really excited about this podcast, because it'll not only talk about football, we'll talk about success, failures, like you say, what it is to be now a modern day footballer. And it's not now, we were speaking just before on air, weren't we? We were saying now you can't just be physically good, now you have to be mentally good, and you also have to rely, in order to be at your height physically, you have to rely on things like nutrition. So I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but as always, it's good to start where you started your journey. So as a young kid, you joined Burnley Centre of Excellence?
Yeah, Burnley Centre of Excellence from the age of 16 to 18. And as you know, a lot more jobs back then. I'd leave my house at 6:30, get the bus, get it to Turf Moor, I had Brian Jensen's boots to clean, 3-4
Beast,
pairs.
yeah.
The Beast. We played with at Shrewsbury.
So when you come back to Shrewsbury, obviously you must have had a bit of PTSD walking through the door and seeing Beast there.
Yeah, he said, are you going to clean my boots this time? But
I bet you did, didn't you? Just get that tip at Christmas.
Yeah. To be honest, it was hard work for the tip he gave me, that's for sure.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, it taught me a lot. I'd do my boots, I'd then get a minibus to training, Garthorpe, and my job was the worst because they weren't netted on the nets back then. I had to put the netting on. It was freezing cold before training. I'd done 3 hours before I even started training, to be honest. But
was it no wheels on the goals? Do you remember that?
Yeah, stinking.
The iron goals, you have to pick them up with freezing in your fingers.
Yeah, so it was really old school, but you do it, and looking back, it was horrendous, but it taught me a lot, character building, mindset, and, you know, you're doing a day of from 7 till 5 o'clock when you're a young lad by the time you get home, and it made me grow to appreciate the career I had. And when you get to the top, that's the easy part. Looking back, it's staying there. As Dave would tell you, like, staying at the top is tough because you've got that next player, that next young talent trying to take your place as you get older. So no, it was a real eye opener for me. I had 2 amazing years at Burnley. A lot happened in the time. I had a loan at Kidderminster, 17 years old. Got on Soccer M show, but actually,
We got that on our notes.
got that in the notes. Talk to us about that.
So it was a weird one because the ball came to me. I took the most horrendous first touch. It hit my shin. It bounced back off defender, came back to me, and a rainbow flicked it over his head.
Oh, really?
Half volleyed it in, and we scored off the cross as well. So I can't find the footage.
For the YouTube footage, we will get a clip of that, won't we, Crossy? We'll get a clip and we'll overplay it if it's still about.
I haven't seen it for. I can't find it.
Oh, maybe not then.
Good luck, Crossy.
So yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
If you do get it, send it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I did my rainbow flick. I can't remember. No, we definitely won't find footage of that.
No, you kicked it over and there's a rainbow, wasn't there? You kicked it over the stand.
Yeah, it was going over the stand. Oh yeah, I'm getting confused. Yeah.
So is that your local club, Burnley, then?
So Burnley, my local club, Burnley fan. Wanted to play for Burnley, and
what level were they at the time?
So Championship at the time.
Okay.
Stan Turner was in charge. Coming towards the end of my contract there, Steve Cottrell took over. I was on the bench at 16 under Stan. Villa Park away. Preston we played in the league the following week, was on the bench, and then ended up leaving. So it was kind of a little bit of a killer for me. But looking back, in the grand scheme of things, everything happens for a reason, and maybe I wouldn't have had the career I had if things didn't work out the way they did.
A couple of things for me, then, Pew, just talking about like your apprenticeship, because I look back on my apprenticeship now and actually like with really fond memories, but at the time couldn't stand it, hated everything about it. You know, it actually made me want to dislike football just because of the old school nature of what it was. And then obviously rejection after that. You know, obviously you get you sign your pro or whatever down the line, and then you get rejected. Even like some of them don't even get their pro. What was it like for you, first of all, as an apprentice? You know, like you say, it stood you in good stead. But how did it make you feel? But then obviously that rejection coming away from Burnley. Was it easy to overcome?
I loved the process, but it was really tough. At the age of 18, I'd scored 17 goals in 11 games, youth and reserve team football. Thought it was good enough. And it was horrible because it was around March. I hadn't really trained with the first team. Steve Cottrell took over the reins with the first team, and I was stood outside his door. I'm like, I'm going to have to find answers here. So I ended up knocking on his door, and you know Steve quite well, and he's quite a character.
It'd be quite intimidating as a young lad walking in to see Steve Cottrell, wouldn't it?
Really intimidating. But I was getting to March, had 3 months left on my contract, not really trained with the first team, let alone played a game. So I just said to him, I said, Gaffer, I just need to have some answers. Have I got a future at the football club? I'm aware I've got a couple of months left on my contract. Could you give me your honest opinion on if I've got a chance? And he just said, you're not good enough to be a professional footballer. So that was really tough to take.
Does he need to say it like that? Was it that brutal?
Really brutal, yeah, really brutal.
Signed you for Shrewsbury, didn't he? But later down the line.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Come full circle.
No, he didn't sign me.
Oh, didn't he?
Sam Ricketts signed me.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So Sam
Steve released you.
Yeah. So Steve started and finished my career. So he was really intimidating, like you say, but I needed to have answers because at the end of the day, I wanted to try and get that first team exposure. But when he told me that, it was heartbreaking. For 3 or 4 days, I was really down. I'm quite a positive person anyway, and I've got a real incredible self-belief. It might come across as arrogant sometimes, but it's just self-belief. I believe that, I wanted to get there.
Love it.
And after 2 or 3 days of being down, I started to speak to my parents, build up connections, who do I know in the football world. And one of my coaches who coached me in the Rosendale Academy, it was like just practicing Cruyff turns and technical work from the age of 4 when I got my first pair of football boots. Andy Sasimovic, he had a connection with Bury. Anyway, after I'd left Burnley in March, I went to sign for Bury for, I think they had 8 games left of the season.
Did you go on trial there first?
Went on trial for a couple of weeks and they signed me. I played 8 games in league. I think there were 2 at the time. And they signed me on the back of that on a year contract. So maybe if that wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have grown a pair to knock on Steve Cottrell's door, I might have just been playing.
So that was at the end. So you knocked on Steve Cottrell's door. You got that news before the end of the season, and in the same season you went out and played 8 games for Bury. So after going on trial as well.
Yeah,
that's being proactive.
Yeah,
and
so it worked really well. It could have gone one of 2 ways really, but it worked out.
Well,
for the best.
It didn't go. It went one way, didn't it? Because again, like Dave says there, we speak a lot on the podcast of like you going there and being brave against what's a really intimidating character, being proactive, asking the question, and then again just having that resilience, overcoming adversity. We speak so much about it, and I know it's obviously a big part of obviously what you do day to day now, Pewey, but just brilliant to hear, isn't it? Such a great message for any kids or even adults in their workplace listening to this. Just one person's opinion, overcome that adversity, and then look what it's led to.
Yeah, I always say to people, especially when I'm presenting to them, don't let one person's opinion define you, because at the end of the day, if you take that opinion to heart, then you're not going to get anywhere. Mindset's everything. You can do the nutrition, you can sleep well, you can be technically gifted, but if you've not got the correct mindset to be able to deal with adversity in front of a full stadium of 50, 60,000, whatever it may be, then you're not going to put that bad touch, that bad pass to the back of your mind. It's really, really important.
That applies to every walk of life, though, doesn't it? Not just football. I'll say, because you're never going to please everyone. You're always going to have critics somewhere in whatever job you do, and it's about believing in what you do is the right thing, being proactive with the way you work, and overcoming it. That's such an important trait, isn't it, to be successful in any walk of life?
Yeah, if you want to be successful, you've got to be able to look to the positive side of life and just be proactive, like you say, because whether you're a businessman, whether you're a footballer, any athlete, it's massive. Mindset really does set you up for success. And if you do the small things well on a day-to-day basis, they add up to big results. And as I always say, the small percentages really do. When people aren't watching you, I think is the key. What you do in the dark brings you out in the light. And if you are doing the things when people aren't watching, you coach, your boss at work, then you will get the results in the end.
I love that. What you do in the dark brings you out in the light.
Oh, such a good message, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Like, you spend time telling your kids, don't you, like staff at work, and just really trying to reiterate to people. And I love that, those little consistent messages, because I suppose society now, we're all, especially phones and internet and everything's immediate gratification, where it's people want to lose weight, they want to get in shape, they want to eat well, and it's like, look, it's not going to happen overnight. There's a process, isn't there? And maybe you'll talk more about that a bit later. But.
Yeah. So then, Bury, so you had the good end to the season, and did you sign a contract straight away, or did you go into that summer unsure of what was next?
So it's a bit of a blur. I mean, after about 4 or 5 games, there was talk of them signing me on for next season. So Chris Casper at the time, he gave me the opportunity. He was absolutely brilliant with me.
Great guy, Chris Casper. Yeah, he's the
Salford, isn't he?
He's a Salford
director of football now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's quality.
Technical director. Sorry.
Yeah, he's quality, and he was a really good coach as well. And he taught me a lot. He helped me grow from going. Terry Pashley, I don't know whether you've come across Terry Pashley, who was my youth team coach at Burnley. He was really tough, You'd run through a forest, meet him at hill, you do hill sprints, and he really built my character. It was old school, but it was quality. And then to go from Terry Pashley to Chris Casper, who was really technical. His sessions, it was 5-a-sides, it was short, sharp. It was really enjoyable. To sign a season at the age of 18, 19 years old and play, I think it was 45 games the following season, was absolutely brilliant at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, so in the academy system nowadays, to get that many games, I was lucky, similar to you, Pewey, that I was playing first team football at a young age, and I do think it really sets you up then for a good career, getting those games under your belt. So you played 43 games that season?
Something like that, yeah.
Offered a new contract, but...
yeah, so...
Love Chris Casper, but...
Thanks for the opportunity, but all the best. Take care.
Yeah, to be fair, I was young. I had an agent at the time, and 4 months in, I was playing really well. So he just said to me, look, concentrate on your football. I'll do the rest. I don't think you should sign your contract at the moment. You've got a lot of interest. So I just took his word for it. And I said to Chris Casper, I'm listening to my agent on this one. I'm not signing my contract. And yeah, he was obviously... as every gaffer would be, he was a bit knocked off.
Yeah.
And I played for a few months after, then I got dropped, not in the team, because obviously, you know, any manager who doesn't have a player wanting to commit the future to the club would do the same. But luckily I got dropped, and I say luckily now, I played Man City in a reserve game because I weren't playing first team football. I scored 2 goals. And that game, Gary Peters, the Shrewsbury boss, was watching.
He watches every game possible, didn't he, GP?
Oh, my gosh.
Watching Bury Man City on a Wednesday afternoon.
At Radcliffe Borough.
Yeah.
I always tell us that, like, when Gary come to watch me, we'd finished the game and we'd won 2-0. It was a midweek game. I was trying to go down the tunnel, but the supporters could walk past, so they hadn't pulled the tunnel out properly. And I was and then literally was trying to get down there, and someone was like roughing me up, like pushing up against me, and I was like, excuse me, and he's like doing this, ignoring me, could blatantly hear what I was saying. I didn't have a clue who he was at this time, and he's like pushing up against me. In the end, I went, mate, can you get out of the fucking way, please? Pushed him out of the way. I was like, idiot. Walked off, and then literally, as I got out, my agent called me and went, yeah, did some bloke roughing you up in and around the tunnel? I was like, yeah. He went, yeah, that's Gary Peters. They're just putting a bid for you. I was like, oh, right. Because he's that. And when I spoke to him after, he's like, I just wanted to see how big you were. I wanted to get next to you and see like what you're all about. And I'm literally wrestling him, going, mate, I just want to get off the pitch, please get out of the way.
Oh,
that does not surprise me. Does not surprise me.
Yeah.
I remember my mate Darren Kemp. So Glyn Garner rolls the ball out to him. He's a centre half, no nonsense centre half, and he wasn't great technically, and he just used that and kick
Had a brick wall, Kempo, couldn't he?
Yeah. But Glyn Garner rolled it out in training to him, and Kempo just went to play a pass, and it went over the fences, and GP's gone, Glyn, why are you giving it to him? He can't kick a ball. So he battered the keeper for rolling it out. He didn't back Kempo.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Kempo, you just kicked it over the fence, but well done. Glenn, don't do that, whatever you do. He did the opposite to me. In training, I tried to drop it in to Mark Stallard. Mark Stallard, anyone who's played with him knows, like, you could drop it in 5 yards either side of Stow and it sticks, doesn't it? Yeah. So I thought, oh, brilliant, stop the game. No. Smash it in the channel.
Yeah.
And obviously that just wasn't my upbringing. And I was like, but there's no one there. Like, literally, just run through for a goal kick. No, you get out your feet, you stick it in the channel. So then, obviously, next time come to me again, did it again. And he stop. Fucking had a right go at me again. In the end, I was like, oh, I might as well fucking go in. He's like, yeah, go on, fucking go in. I took my boots off. I'm going in. But yeah, just, so he signed you then. Did you know what you were getting into at this time?
Didn't have a clue. No, to be fair, it was brilliant with me. We had some run-ins, like everyone does.
Was Shrewsbury League 2 or League 1?
League 2. Just moving to the new stadium that season. Yeah. Actually, I remember signing for the club, and as I was signing for the club, you was biking away. You'd just signed for Wolves, I think.
Yeah, Luton, yeah. Luton, yeah.
Luton, yeah. You just signed for Luton, so I think it was the same year Joe Hart just signed for...
Yeah, he went earlier in that season to City.
So yeah, Gary Peters signed me. I think I played 60-odd games under him. Learned a lot. He toughened me up again. Character building, I had to deal with a lot because his way of working was very peculiar. But, I have a lot to thank Gary for. He gave me a 3-year contract, moved away from home. And it's just a setup, it's a roller coaster in football and you've got to deal with a lot of setbacks. Gary left. And Paul Simpson came in and he had other ideas again. Changing manager changed everything.
Yeah. So under Gary, you were sort of really happy in the team.
Yeah, the first season I played a lot of football. Again, I had quite a bit of interest around Christmas time from bigger clubs. Maybe I got a little bit too ahead of myself and, took my eye off the ball. I had a couple of conversations with Gary. I had a little bit of a label tear in my groin. We played Rotherham away at the time, and I said, Gaffer, I've got to come off half time. He called me weak, and he said, you're faking an injury, da-da-da. And anyway, I got a scan the next day. I had a label tear in my groin and tendonitis in my knee. I was trying to carry on, but
just play on, Fury.
Just play on, lad.
Do you know what I mean? It's soft as shit.
So
That's paranoia, that is, for GP.
Yeah. So after that, I was in out for the rest of the season. Kicked off next season, and I think about 3-4 months into it, Paul Simpson took over.
Yeah. Did GP apologise, by the way?
No. He was still right. Right.
And what position did he have you playing? Because obviously you as being I would class you as a winger, but who's more of a technical winger who'll come inside and try to find pockets of space. That GP didn't play like that when we were there, did he, Gav? It was more your winger was out wide and crossing the ball, and that was it.
Sore neck if you're a midfielder, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
For some reason, whether the full-backs were slower that season, I was playing as an out-and-out right winger, just knock it and run.
Yeah.
Whereas I just had pace that season for some reason. So GP just wanted me to cross balls, get to the byline, cross it on. Yeah. So I can't remember whether Humps was in the team at the time, because he was an out-and-out right winger.
Yeah, Chris Humphreys.
So I'd go from right to left, but he didn't like your.
He was slow as well, Humps.
Well, slow. He was rapid, weren't he? Yeah.
Not anymore. He looks like he's eating himself. I was messaging him the other week. I said to him, I'd have to get him on the podcast. But how quick was he? Flipping it.
He was rapid.
I just literally used to get the ball in training, and I used to just back off and just go and stand about 20 yards that way, and he still could have knocked it past me in a minute.
Yeah, I think if Humps had another dimension to his game, mixing it up, everyone knew he was going to go down the outside because he was that quick. He could have gone on to...
Yeah, if he could go both ways.
Yeah.
He did have a great move to Preston, did well, didn't he? And great career. Great lad as well. Great lad.
Good.
So you...
Another crossroads then when you get to Paul Simpson coming in.
So, Paul Simpson came in, great coach. We got on well, but he had other ideas. I think he brought his son to play on the wing. I'm sure his son came in at some point. I can't remember when that was. And then he had, I think we signed Stevie Hindmarsh, one or two others, and I didn't really feature. I was probably a little bit too flash and taking too many touches for Simo. I probably didn't quite develop my game the way I should, taking too many touches here and there in training, and he probably didn't like that. And when he came in, we got to the summer, didn't really play much football. And I was on my honeymoon at the time, got the phone call from my agent and said, Simo wants to pay you up, really, doesn't want you at the club. So, I mean, I didn't get...
Pay for the wedding.
Didn't. No, to be fair, I was really naive from a young lad because even though I had a year contract, I had no other choice because, I didn't get paid a lot. It was next to nothing, if I'm being completely honest. You're young, you're inexperienced. At the time, I was going through changing my agent and stuff. And I just wanted to play football at the end of the day. Yeah. They said to me, you won't play for a season, take this pay up, or you just sit there and you won't play.
So but nowadays you know the game a little bit and be able to
you just
sort of negotiate a little bit.
And whereas I weren't in a position to really negotiate or anything there. So that was eye-opening. Mrs. was like, honeymoon to pay for, wedding, where are we going from here? And I remember saying to her, look, I'll play in the Premier League. That was...
Love it.
That was a self-belief I had.
Wow.
Maybe some say naivety, but
again, it's a great lesson, Puri, isn't it? Like, it's easy to be positive. It's easy to be on the front foot and proactive when things are going well. But you've just had that news. You've just come off the back of your honeymoon. Everything, thankfully, is paid for. But then you're like, right, it's washed its face a little bit. And you're turning around saying to your missus, don't worry, I'm going to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of debt at the time because when you're in the lower leagues as well, you've got a mortgage, you've got a car, you've got, your wedding, your honeymoon. We weren't getting paid a lot of money back then, that's for sure. So it was literally the day we arrived in on our honeymoon, Mexico. I got the phone call, and then about 3 days later, luckily my agent said Hereford had been on the phone because I ended up having like a little stint, a loan move to Hereford.
Yeah, we see that, yeah.
I think that was about 8 games, something like that, towards the end of the season, where Simo said you're not involved, and luckily they wanted to take me. I think they got relegated that season as well, and then I signed for Hereford in League Two.
Was your honeymoon all inclusive? That softened the blow.
It was. It was all inclusive. Yeah. If it weren't, it'd be tap water. Tap water, love for the rest of the holiday.
Brilliant.
So who you say was manager at Hereford then?
So this was John Truick and Graham Turner was there at the time. So and
you don't get many modern managers, do you?
no, we had Tony Ford was our fitness coach. You know Tony Ford?
No, I don't know Tony.
He was 72 years old at the time. He was. Used to walk around with chicken breasts in his pocket. It was shredded.
Oh, brilliant!
Funny because you know it's true.
Yeah.
Like back then. It's
So
like,
when you signed for Hereford, for listeners who don't know sort of the locality of Hereford, it's not too far from Shrewsbury. It's a horrible road to get to, but it's not too far. So you staying back in Shrewsbury, or did you move over to Hereford?
Yeah, I was living in Shrewsbury, and I was car schooling over with 5 other lads, so that kept us busy. But it's a bit of a trek every day, especially I had a hairdresser's car back then. I think Peugeot 206, 207.
Classic.
I'm trying to fit 5 lads in the back of there. I was interested, stiff as a board. But no, I stayed injury free all season, and had a really good year. I think scored 14 goals, 9 assists, something like that. So yeah, that was a good time for me.
brilliant.
We didn't touch on it before. But when you was at Shrewsbury, did you go on loan to Luton as well?
Yeah, so
That's that one out, didn't we?
I was at Luton for, I think I only played about 4 games for him. I had a little bit of, I'm sure it was Mick Hartford. Mick Hartford at the time. Yeah, he was absolute hard as nails. Had some tough managers, and he was one of them. Some stories about him, but yeah, he's again. I just played 4 games. I was away from home. It taught me a lot. Luton's not the nicest of places, so it was interesting. But I can't remember too much about my time there. I stayed with family in Luton, just on the outskirts, and went to training. It didn't last long. I just wanted to get a bit of exposure, good atmosphere, and played some decent football. I had a little bit of an injury at the time. I was out for a few weeks, so they sent me back. You know what it's like when you get a loan in, it's like, off you go now, you're injured. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah, so you had following that, you had a good year at Hereford. They offer you a new contract?
Yeah. Another new contract. On less money that I was on the previous year, actually. I think financially at the time, Hereford were struggling. Yeah. And after a good season, I knew Bournemouth were interested. Scored 2 goals in the home fixture and 1 in the away. Eddie Howe took a little bit of a shine into me. He had a scout come watch me for about 5 or 6 games. I wasn't aware at the time. I'm close friends with a scout now, so we speak every now and again. And he just said, Eddie's like, he needs to know the character, needs to know how you're playing away at Notts County and grounds like this, what your attitude's like. So he watched me for a little bit, and he said you were performing really well, so decided to take a punt on you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and this is obviously a big moment for you in terms of your career, going to Bournemouth, a club which was on the up at the time. But it's a massive move, though, isn't it? You're a northern boy, moving to the south coast. Family go down with you?
Yeah, so my wife came with me. I didn't have kids at the time. That was a really difficult decision because 6 hours away from home, and obviously I'm asking her to move her life away. She had a job in Shrewsbury, was loving life. She was working at Halifax, but it was an opportunity, and you've got to look for opportunities in the game as well, and you can't just, be in this rut of like, oh, we'll wait and see. You've got to be proactive. You've got to really trust the process, believe. And I met Eddie Howe and Tyndall. They treated me to a prezzo. It'd be a bit more upmarket these days, I think, for his players. But no, it was great. We had an instant connection. My wife Laura, she really liked him, the philosophy, the way they conducted themselves. You could tell they cared about the players. They not only wanted to be great coaches, they cared about the players. So we hit it off, and we decided to make the move to Bournemouth. And the actual day we moved to Bournemouth, not only were we moving six hours away from home, Laura, she said, I'm feeling a bit ill here. And that was the day she actually fell pregnant. So,
wow.
So it was a lot to take in. But,
amazing moment.
So she had a job lined up and everything, but with having a kid and moving so far away from home, not having family around, her main focus was looking after the kids while I obviously tried to provide. So I had that other why in my life, and I was like, this has to work. I'm 23, 24 years old, so not only am I playing football for myself, but for my family now as well.
And incredible as well, like we've spoken before about, you know, when you're a lower league footballer, I suppose the image and the narrative is, oh yeah, it's this brilliant lifestyle. You've already said there, you know, you're 23, 24, a lot's been squeezed in there, you know, a lot of games, like quite a few, 3 or 4 clubs there, and you're talking about...
A lot of rejection.
You're talking about, got a lot of money, got a bit of debt, we're moving miles away from home at the drop of a hat. It's like, right, Bournemouth are interested. 6 hours away. Yeah, unlucky. That's where you're going. This is the life of a lower league footballer, and everybody dresses it up to be sometimes something it's not. You've got the dizzy heights of the Premier League, which thankfully you two, you know, went and done well in. But it's just a good message, isn't it? That, you know, you have to work extremely hard at them levels and have to manage a lot off the field in order to be successful and go higher.
Yeah, nothing's given. You've got, you know, one of my favourite quotes is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And maybe...
I like that quote. I always just go, hard work beats talent, and talent because of the work. And in the moment, I was like, shit, I've forgotten it. You know what I mean? Yeah, everyone knows what I mean. Yeah,
tongue twister, yeah. But I mean, I don't know how you feel, Dave, but maybe if I started right at the top and got everything given to me, and then I walked into first team football, I probably wouldn't have appreciated the way I did. But because I had to work for it and really worked, you know, I didn't play Premier League football until I was 28. I was really, you know, pushing through that roller coaster of what we call football. And yeah, it taught me a lot. It was massive in my development, my character building, the self-belief as well, more than anything, because, you know, I was murdering fullbacks in League Two, and for 3-4 months, but I just wasn't getting to where I wanted to be. But it's that where you think, oh, I've got to keep pushing now. Can't rest. You know, I haven't got that Premier League move I want. You've just got to keep pushing and you know, try and get to your destination. But once you get to that destination, it's just not the end. You've got to keep moving, because it doesn't make you happy getting there, because everyone thinks we get to this end destination and we're going to be happy. You know, I'm financially free. I've got everything I want. It doesn't. Journey, you've got to keep adding to it, and like you mentioned, the journey, adding value into people's lives and improving yourself day to day.
On sort of Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, his assistant, obviously they've gone on to do record things. They had the spell at Burnley, didn't they? Come back to Bournemouth, obviously at Newcastle now, had a terrific season last year. Bit more difficult this year, but I've heard a lot of people talk about the way they work and how intense they are, what they expect from their players. There's no passengers at all. How did you find it, and what did you like so much about them, or how did they get the best out of you, which obviously started to take you on that journey?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I loved the demand they had on you, and you can't, you know, training was recorded. You know, if you get a forfeit and you do 9 press-ups instead of your 10, you're in the office the next day and he's watching. He's like, why didn't you do your 10 press-ups? So it's that attention to detail, the way they care about the players, the way they want to develop them after training as well. It's not just that training session for 90 minutes. It's like afterwards, 20, 30 minutes of shots, crosses, whatever you need. It's absolutely next level, and they've worked hard, tirelessly behind the scenes. I mean, I went up to watch Newcastle train last week, and it's like, it's just so intense. It hasn't changed. The intensity levels of training is next level. And even like we go back to when people aren't watching, the Newcastle fans won't be seeing what Eddie does behind the scenes. He gets in at 6, half 6. He'll do his gym session. He'll do his preparation for training. He'll get out on the training field. He'll put an unbelievable session on, and then afterwards he'll have his lunch. He'll go away for 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it may be. He'll be leaving the club at 6, 7 o'clock. When he's done, he'll watch training back, and then he'll clip it, get his team to clip it for tomorrow's session before training. He'll get individuals in and try and develop their own performance as well, and just make sure they're the best they can be. So not only is he trying to improve himself along with his staff, and I mean, he's got a great staff, JT, Tinners, Perchy, all the staffing around him, they're pushing in that direction. So no, it's incredible the way he's done, and he deserves every bit of applaud at his game.
Yeah, by no luck he's there. no luck. He's hard work, like you said. I'd like it to be a player, and he was like that as obviously a player as well, wasn't he? And maybe didn't quite have the ability to get to the very top, but as a manager, he's taken it to a new level. Had injuries as well, didn't he, as a player?
Yeah, so I think he got told at 26 he would have to retire early, and I think he carried on. He struggled till he was 29, retired at the age of 29. He just said his mind could, get him there, but his body just won't allow it. So yeah, he had to retire really young.
So that
happened to me at 16.
To this Bournemouth team, you signed in sort of 2014, was it? No, younger than that, wasn't it? Sorry, I got my notes here.
13, is it?
20, yeah, but you got what was your first? You had one season in League One, then you got promoted the following season. 3 years.
I think he was free anyway. So signed for Bournemouth. 6 months into that deal, he moved to Burnley. Eddie spent 18 months away. There was a lot going on in between. When he moved to Burnley,
I forgot about that. I forgot that he went and came back.
I didn't realise that early. I thought it was a bit later on he went to Burnley.
It was about 6 months. Yeah, 6 months into that, something like that anyway. And when he went to Burnley, you know what JT's like. He was on the phone to me, went, "We got your shirt on, go for it."
Yeah.
And me being a Burnley boy, I was like, "Oh yeah, get sucked right in," because I didn't have.
And the missus were going home.
Yeah, we were looking at houses because I hadn't been at Bournemouth long, and I didn't understand the journey I was going to have with them and with the fans, with everything else. So I was like, local boy, Burnley boy, yeah, I want to play for my club and stuff. So yeah, he was on, and they ended up signing Keith Treacy and then Charlie Austin, and it kind of petered out. So I had to get my head down. And at the time as well, it was really tough because I was on like 11, 12 goals as a winger by Christmas. I had a lot of interest from West Ham. I think Villa were interested. And then I ended up crossing the ball in. I'd scored 2 goals against Leyton Orient, crossed the ball in, slid off the pitch last minute, and there was a raised sprinkler and it sliced my knee. I ended up having like, I think 12, 13 stitches in my knee. And I was in East London Hospital. Our keeper had fractured his eye socket. It was a bit of a naughty game. And that was in around end of November, I think it were. And I didn't quite reach the heights I knew I could, because every time I kept coming, I was back within 2 weeks training. My stitches kept splitting, and, it was mindset again. If it's in your mind, you struggle. So that season kind of petered out. Eddie left, Jason left. I was coming into my second season with Bournemouth. Lee Bradbury took over. We'd had a few changes of management, to be honest. Bradders were really good with me. The season that had just gone, we got to playoff semi-finals, got beat to Huddersfield on penalties. I got dropped for that game for refusing to sign a contract.
Quite old rebel, weren't you? Yeah. Hard work, you.
The agents I had, honestly. So, I mean, to cut a long story short, we had new investor come in, Max Denham, and they were trying to offer me a contract where I knew they'd sign players on ridiculously more money than me. And I was at that point now, I'd just had a kid. I needed to start earning money, because at the end of the day, football is a short career, and you've got to be honest with it. So I held out, and the following season I didn't play as much as I'd like to. We were sat at, I think it was 19th in League One at the time when Eddie came back. And then he took over again. I signed a new contract a few days later.
Was you delighted when he came back?
I was buzzing. Yeah, I was absolutely buzzing. I signed a new contract within days. And we ended up going on like a 20-plus unbeaten run to get promoted that season from being 19th. Wow. I think we were 19th in around November when he came back. And then we ended up finishing second that year. I don't know whether you remember the game. We were waiting. We beat Tranmere. And then when we got promoted, we'd have finished top. But I think it was Donny and someone else. Someone hit the crossbar, and they went up the other end and scored.
Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember the game, but we were watching on the TV because our game finished early. And, we ended up finishing second. But it's still great, but we're gutted.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nice, mate. So you get that promotion. Then that's a big moment, though, isn't it? I always felt this in my career. When I got to the Championship, it felt different. I almost felt like that was the biggest step for me personally, in terms of all the stadiums you're playing at, the type of players you're playing against, the quality. Did you find that as a big step? I know obviously Bournemouth are on this journey, but for you individually?
Yeah, it was a massive step. And that's when I tried to gain the edge, because I knew I'd been released from clubs, had to deal with a lot of adversity, and I ended up taking a nutrition diploma, 18 module, to try and gain that edge. I thought if I can run further than players, they might be more technically gifted, quicker than me, but if I can run further in games and, have that energy to push on you see all the goals scored in the last 15, 20 minutes of games, I thought that could be a real edge, because nutrition wasn't really spoken about that much until Wenger brought it in with Arsenal. And literally within 2-3 months of implementing changes from the 18-module diploma I did, I felt so much better off the field, on the field. I was running further in games. I went from running 11k to 13, sometimes close to 14k. So it made a huge difference.
So your primary goal for that diploma was for yourself, not thinking about after football. It was more, I need to improve myself now.
Yeah, it was just to improve myself and to get the best out of me, because I was getting to games sometimes and 70 minutes in I was feeling shattered. I was just getting through the last 20 and I thought there's something more to this. I really need to help develop myself, and if I can, get to I go back to the Forest game. We played Forest away, 1-0 down, and I scored in the 93rd minute, I think it were. To score goals in the last minute, it's an incredible feeling as a footballer, and if you're fit and you can run for 110 minutes these days, you've got that chance of making that last run into the box, last recovery run for a tackle, and it just improved me all round. I was more present with my family as well, which is really important off the field, and those small things again do add up.
Almost like a cloudy feeling would go, like you're saying, being present with your family there. Is it like, having changed my diet a while ago, is nothing close to what you've done, but I felt like it's almost like you say, more present. Like there's that cloudy feeling.
Brain fog.
Yeah, brain fog. Yeah, that sort of goes. Is that?
Yeah, because as athletes, especially as people sat at a desk, this ultra processed food that we get told to eat is absolutely shambolic, to be honest. I mean, marketed products that claim to be healthy when they're really not.
Yeah.
Sticking to whole foods as much as possible, and it's relevant for not only athletes but for people who are sat at an office, because once that brain fog creeps in, your mental clarity's off. If you're a defender picking up from a set piece or what have you, and you've got instructions, you've got to have that mental clarity, and it's all interlinked. It really is. If you eat well, fuel your body properly, then your mindset's going to be better, your sleep's going to be better, and that's going to have a good effect on your recovery and performance.
Was it big changes you had to make, or were you kind of almost there anyway in terms of your nutrition? Was it like overhauling your complete diet, or was it just changing a few little things which you found had a big difference?
I became more mindful of how I felt after meals. I was eating a lot of pasta in my younger days, and I began to realise it wasn't particularly good for me and my body. I felt bloated. I felt like I had brain fog, so I'd change that for quinoa or brown rice, sweet potato, vegetables. And you don't need to, smash carbs down you constantly as an athlete. What I learned to realise is if I kept my carbs relatively low Monday to Thursday and then started to introduce more on Friday, Saturday, that carb loading cycle becomes a lot more productive, and your body learns to metabolize the carbohydrate a lot more efficiently. Whereas if you're just doing the same thing every day, it doesn't know any different, and you're just increasing your chances of body fat and various other aspects which you don't need as an athlete.
I wish I'd have known all this when I was younger. I used to smash pasta, mate.
You could run all day, though.
My mum, bless her, she used to put like a big bowl of white pasta in front of me and just go, get that in you, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready for the game. And you think, flipping it, 40 minutes into it, you're like, do go to bed.
But everyone's different as well, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
You might do well with pasta. I know players at the top level who have pasta, but I always think, if they dig a little bit deeper and could fuel the body properly, and you look at your likes of your top athletes in the world, they probably don't know half that they should, unless
and that baffles me now with the information that's available. If you're a top player with obviously disposable income to make yourself even better, to earn more money and to play in bigger stadiums, bigger grounds, all that sort of stuff, then you would 100% reach out to someone like Pewey, wouldn't you, and get all that information.
Well, it seems
you've been through the whole journey yourself, so you're like a walking example of what you're preaching.
It seems to me like it's imperative, because like you say, when you're going from League One to now what you're saying, where we're at in the story of like you're in the Championship, you've got to find them gains. Now your ability isn't going to skyrocket overnight. Like you say, your sharpness, your pace, maybe your sharpness, but your pace isn't going to develop overnight. You've got to find them little 1% if you want to survive there. It's how much you want it, isn't it? It's how much you want to stay at that level. And again, I suppose we go back to your experiences of having been rejected, which at the time, you getting a gash in your knee, or being rejected, all of these things at the time, you think, they're a nightmare. But actually out of that, like you say, out of that darkness, has come a lot of light, but probably because, again, you're so present and aware of, look, I've had these sort of rejections. I don't want to feel that again. And actually there's something, it's within my capabilities, and I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to overcome that adversity. I'm going to use my mental clarity to really drive on and implement these things in my game.
Yeah, I think daily you've got to put perspective on life, and you know, there's a lot of people worse off. So if you get given an opportunity every day, you know, when you wake up, and you've always got an opportunity to try and improve, progress. And I always speak about people who's got a fixed mindset. You know, you've got to have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset of people that just don't want to improve, don't want to learn, and a growth mindset. You want, if you're a coach, you want to work with people that want to improve, they want to learn, they're coachable. And I think it's so important that you are coachable as a kid, because if you're not coachable, then you won't get to the heights you want to reach. So yeah, I mean, putting perspective on things and just trying to improve daily is massive. And you know, you will get to where you want to be if you put the work in as well.
And the recovery aspect as well, because that is something which, when I was playing, was completely out the window. Once I'd played a game, it was more like, right, I can relax now and enjoy myself and have a takeaway, eat a little bit of rubbish, 'cause I've eaten well all week. But I remember when me and Pewee played together at Shrewsbury, being on the way back from a game, we stopped at a big Tesco's. All the lads are coming back onto the bus with bags of sweets, Haribo's, crisps, sandwiches they've got from the shop.
That would have been me.
Yeah, and I was one of those as well, whereas Pewee out of his bag as a pre-made meal already, which is going to hit all your nutrients you need from recovery. But you was in that mindset, and at that time you would have been 35, 36?
Yeah, 35, 36.
35, 36, and you got all these young lads just hammering food, and you got Pewee at the back.
But it's about how, like you said, about how much you want it. You know, you can, like I say to my kids all the time, you can be whatever you want to be. You've just got to want to be it. And I convinced myself that I've been brilliant all week. I've trained all week. My diet's been brilliant. I haven't had a drink. You know, not that you ever did really drink back then, but like in terms of, unless it was a night out, like, you know, I've been really good. So I can do this. And you convince yourself that it's okay for me to do this. And actually, how far do you want to go? Like, how much do you really want it? Because I'd convinced myself that I'm going into this Tesco's, and I'll tell you what I'm going to get. I'm going to get a massive bag of crisps. Yeah. I'm going to get a chocolate bar. I'm going to have a fizzy drink, because all week I deserve it. Actually, well, how far do you really want to go?
Game Tuesday.
Yeah, I'd convince myself. Whereas now I'm different. I'm like, I say at Easter, kids are eating all the chocolate. I'm like, right, just relax. Like, your body doesn't know that it's Easter. Your body doesn't intrinsically celebrate Easter. Like, you're not just going to be able to hold on and not be sick because it's Easter. So, you know, let's relax a little bit. And I adapted that to me. So when you do get to Tesco, you do go, right, not now. Now I proper feel my boots. But but there was a time, again, it's how far you want to go, Pewee, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was like Dave up and probably to the age of 24, 25. Scored a couple of goals, let's have a takeaway. Got a game Tuesday night. That inflammation builds up. You know, inflammation's good, but we want to reduce it as quick as possible. And if you have a takeaway, which is, it depends what you pick sometimes. I mean, every now and again, if you have a takeaway, a curry, for example, can be highly beneficial if it's cooked properly, and a lot of health benefits to your spices and stuff. But if you're having Chinese and these fast foods, Domino's and KFC, and they're horrendous for the body, so I'd never have.
What's your go-to takeaway?
Chinese.
I knew it'd be Chinese. I knew it'd be Chinese.
I like Indian horrendous. I'm glad you said that, Pierre. I like Indian meat. I like
Indian. I like Indian, but it's obviously a lot different cooking your own Indian at home, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot different. You never know what's been put in it, whether it be preservatives, pink food, and like we like to call it, and it could have been sat there for ages, for all we know. There might have been preservatives to sustain the shelf life of it. You just don't know. But when I got out of the habit of doing that, and if I had my, like, you know, on a Friday night, if I had a game on Saturday, if I made chicken, sweet potato, broccoli, brown rice, I'd double up the portion and have something for after the game on Saturday. Like Dave said, I'd always take a cool bag when I got into the habit with ice bricks, and then you can have something for after the game. Most coaches especially have fridges on where you can put your meals in there, rather than having Domino's, what the clubs.
I was just going to say that clubs actually put on Domino's.
Yeah. In the end, I had a chat when I was at Bournemouth. I think we were in the Championship at the end of the year. When we were in the Premier League, we had a chef come on the journey with us, and he'd prepare salmon, pesto pasta, he'd take lasagnas and cottage pie, so it was brilliant. But I said to Dan, who was a fitness coach, said, why don't we get a Nando's or something? It's a lot healthier. You can just get chicken, sweet potato, rice, as opposed to Domino's. He was like, oh yeah. So we ended up getting Nando's, like, rather than Domino's. It's a lot healthier. And
some of the lads raging with you.
that's like, what's he doing? Fish and chips grunting away.
Pewie's getting filled in on the back of the coach.
But to be fair, I'd always take something as well, because you'd always get Domino's here and there and Nando's, and it was a bit inconsistent. But I think it depends on the level of club you're at as well. A lot of clubs in the Premier League will have chefs that go away with them and pre-prepared meals, but you can do it yourself. It's so simple. Take 15, 20 minutes. The reality is, in modern day life, a lot of people we're all lazy, and we get to the habit of doing the simple things well. It only takes 15, 20 minutes to prepare something for your meal.
I've got my little bag with that you put your ice bricks in, and it's all custom, and it comes with its little boxes and all of that, and you've got your little protein, and I had that, and it was when I was the first
you put
team
pizza in
coach.
there.
Right tucked in the back there. And we used to have our Fogarty, who's Foggy was like our scout at the time, and he was on the coach, and Foggy, bless him, he takes up my seat as well as his, like when he sat next to me, and you'd always be like, I'm not sitting next to Foggy, and he used to dig me out, and I'd obviously take the piss out of him by pushing myself up against the window like that and go, Foggy, give me some room.
Great guy, Foggy.
Yeah,
and it was with Sam, wasn't it, Shrewsbury?
Yeah,
Foggy.
that's it. Yeah, brilliant guy. And he used to say, oh, what you got here? Some grains, or you got some sand and all that. Like, how can you say anything to anyone? But you'd get stick, wouldn't you?
That's good though, because if someone bats you and say you're being busy, you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I took that as a compliment. It's like when I turn up for breakfast and I'm having my avocado with blueberries and raspberries on top, and they're like, what is that? I said, don't knock it until you've tried it. It's a great combo, and I like strawberries with like a spinach salad with feta and all that, and balsamic vinegar. So mixing fruit with, your savoury thing seems a bit weird, but you get more nutrients. The more colour you put on your plate, the more vitamins and minerals you get.
We'll come back to that, because his Instagram page is incredible. But so going back, Bournemouth Championship, we spoke before we came on air. You had a brilliant team, didn't you? That Eddie Howe was building, working in sync. Very hard to play against. Go through that team a little bit, because obviously a lot of listeners will know a lot of the players in there.
Yeah, so Artur Boruc came in. He was unbelievable in goal, absolute beast. We had Simon Francis right back, or Adam Smith. We had two great right backs, two of the best in the Championship. Charlie Daniels left back, Tommy Elphick and Steve Cook. It was a solid back line. Yeah. Fullbacks could get up and down, both defend and attack. They give you everything, assists, clean sheets. So no, our back four was brilliant. And then we'd chop and change. We'd either play 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2. The 4-4-2 would be me and Matt Ritchie on the wings. We'd just get up and down all day, goals, assists. And then in midfield, you could pick and choose between Sirs, Harry Arter, Andrew Sermon, Harry Arter, Dan Gosling. We just signed Lewis Cook at the time as well. We had people on the bench like Junior Stanislas, Ryan Fraser, so we had a real good squad. And then
amongst those players, Pew, is like obviously there's some that have come from the league below. Was there any that was sort of had been proven at the level, or was it quite a lot of?
Andrew Sermon.
As if Sirs, that we come from Southampton to Wolves, didn't he?
Yeah, Sirs was technically so brilliant player. He'd just feed me in the pocket all day. He'd open on his left and wrap it, and he was brilliant to play with.
That reverse pass that you can't defend. It gives you the eyes.
Yeah, he's so comfortable on the ball. Like you look at Scholesy, Paul Scholes back in his day when he just had time on the ball. Obviously, he wasn't at the level Scholesy was, but he just always had time on the ball, and you just, his awareness and was brilliant. And then Callum and Jan Kermigan up front.
We Callum Wilson.
Who did I say?
No, yeah, you said Callum, but I'm just telling you.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah. I thought I said Jan and Kermigan.
No. You just say Callum, but just in case people didn't know.
Yeah, so Callum Wilson and Jan Kermigan up front. We had Brett Pittman as well to choose from.
So there was a bit of a mix, and some lads that were used to that were sort of were proven at the level, but lads coming up as well, like yourself, sort of going right.
Yeah, we had a good bench for anyone to come in as well, and I knew if I was off it for a couple of games, you had Junior Stanislas, who was incredibly gifted. He just fell down with injuries. Ryan Fraser, who's great player as well. So we had to be on it. But the rotations we had, it wasn't just luck. Every day in training, we'd be working on it, patterns of play, and bringing out the best of each other.
Yeah, I said before we came on air, didn't we? I used to remember playing at the Vitality. That's the seasons during the Championship, and I was in the Championship with Wolves. I used to hate playing against you guys because for whatever reason, the Vitality, when you had the ball, it felt tiny. They were all over you. But when they had the ball, it was massive. You couldn't get near them. And like Pew said, the rotations, he used to roll inside off the wing into pockets, and me in centre midfield, I'd be looking behind me thinking, he's there, who's picking him up? But then my man's kind of drifting out the other way, so I think I've got to stay with him. Then all of a sudden, the centre half stepping out of the ball. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And you should just find the spare man all the time, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult for you because, like you say, Charlie go high, Charlie Daniels, our full-back, our centre-back would step in, I'd be in the pocket, our midfielder would come wide, so there'd be rotations everywhere. And like you mentioned, if I'm in the pocket and the full-back comes with you, just clip one in the channel for Callum Wilson. To
quickest player in the league.
Yes, he'll just get his
or shovel it into Jan Kermigan, who's the best in the league at holding it up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't by luck. There was a lot of work going to that. But once you get them rotations and the dynamics of the team working, it's hard to stop.
Yeah. So a couple of years then in the Championship. How did you get on in your first year in the Champ when you got promoted?
First year, I think we ended up finishing just below mid-table, so it was a decent season. Learned a lot. We had some really good games, bad games. Probably inconsistency killed us a little bit.
Good return that though.
Yeah, good return. Yeah. We were one of the favourites to go down.
Without being disrespectful, you were a small club really. That's in terms of the stadium and the resources at the time. Yeah,
really small. I think our own form helped. Like you mentioned, it's a tough place to go. Crowd are on top of you. It's like Upton Park, but Upton Park was on a bigger scale, and fans are right on top of you. So we made it really difficult for teams, and our home form probably kept us, above water.
Yeah. So then going into the next season, you just kicked on from there.
Yeah, we started off relatively okay, and then we just got them patterns working. We steamrolled teams, possession 60, 65%.
Belief started growing then.
Belief started growing. We signed one or two players and just went from strength to strength. We battered Birmingham, I think it was 8-0 away. That was my first career hat-trick. We beat Fulham away 5-1. And we were battering teams. We had some real good performances that year.
And would you say, obviously, everything that you've said there, but just the togetherness of that group, Eddie's kept that group together, added a little bit of quality again, competition for places. Do you think in that repetition in training every day of creating those rotations in midfield and rolling in and one going high, and do you think it's just that togetherness and the period of time they had together just to perfect it that was probably the difference?
Yeah, I think the camaraderie was massively important. Bournemouth was a fishbowl. Everyone lived in the area. We'd go out for coffee together. We'd
massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. Pre-season, we'd be together. We'd go away, Spain. We ended up going to America when we went through to the Premier League, Chicago, Philadelphia, and it's that team bonding. You'd have a night out, you'd get together. You won't be stupid. And then every March, we'd end up going to, in the international break, going to Dubai and having a couple of team events and training out there, just change the scenery and just being together and trusting each other. I think, whether it be with the ball, without the ball, you trust your teammate. And I think what's important is trust on and off the field. If you can trust your player off the field, then you're going to trust him on.
Yeah. And then also with that, I touched on it before, but your first season of Championship, you're just feeling it out, but then you get that sense of belonging, don't you? Say, we are good enough to be here. Like you hadn't played in the Championship before that, and also, it's not. I can live at this level. I can even improve as well. So that as a whole group. And then was it that following season that you sort of got yourself promoted? Yeah,
we got promoted. We were going away to teams like Reading and grinding out a 1-0 sometimes when you don't particularly play well. You've got that work ethic,
always
the
a good
attitude,
thing, yeah,
grinding a 1-0 win out, and we ended up playing Bolton at home. It was the second. We had Charlton last game of the season on Saturday, Bolton on the Tuesday, and we ended up beating Bolton 3-0. I scored a goal, first goal, and stadium erupted. One of the best feelings I've ever had in football. Beaten 3-0, got promoted that night, but we hadn't won the league, but we ended up going out anyway, having a great time. Yeah. so it was...
talk about that. Guys, talk about that feeling, though. You promoted to the Premier League. You said to your wife years earlier, I'm going to play in the Premier League, and then you've done it. It's surreal.
Yeah, it was surreal. I always had that belief, but you've got to back it up then as well. You've got to put the work in. You can't just say something's going to happen and not do the work. I mean, I'm a big believer in if you have a faith and you trust yourself and you put the work in, you're going to get there in the end. And what I used to do, I still do it now, 25, 26, when I was trying to work on that self-development, I used to go online, I used to print pictures off, Premier League badge, car I wanted, holiday I wanted, and I'd stick them on the back of my mirror just so that visualisation process became more clear. And to look back and see the pictures I printed off, you're obviously not going to achieve everything. It's great to see, but the feeling was amazing. We all went out in town, all the Bournemouth fans were absolutely ecstatic. And when you see what it means to these people, it kind of puts it in perspective. You kick a ball around, but the impact it has on their life is so refreshing to see. But it was an amazing feeling.
Crazy summer as well. Did you go out? Did you go to a Vegas or anything like that? A lot of promoted teams.
So I had Vegas booked that summer with my wife because the previous year when I had League One to the Championship, we went to Vegas then with the lads.
She disappointed them when you told her that you couldn't.
So I did Vegas with the lads from League One to the Championship, was brilliant, and then I did Vegas with the missus that summer. So
which one was better? No, you'd have to answer that.
That's a sent a chill through my spine, Dave. Horrible.
The helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon.
Oh, amazing! What a feeling to reach the Premier League. And again, only, no disrespect, Pewey, but obviously you've gone from League One, League Two, League One, and you got into the Championship. Is there a part of you, because I know again, and I absolutely love it, this self-belief and this desire, and was there a part of you that's thinking, well, I've got this belief that I can play there, but will the club see it that way? Will they now start bringing in all the big hitters? Are they now start going to really invest in? And I'm playing out there, but are they going to bring in, this under 23, this under 21 England international that has gone on loan to Southampton in the Premier League? And was there a part of you that was thinking that, or you were just so I will play, end of story?
Again, I'm going to sound a bit big-headed here, but I wasn't thinking about what other people were doing, what I could control. I was thinking about, control the controllables, control my performances. I've got to the Premier League, what's the worst that could happen? If Bournemouth don't want me, then I had an amazing career with Bournemouth. I was with them 6-7 years at the time. I'll just give it my all and see what happens and prove to people that I deserve to be a Premier League player. If they want to sign other players, then I'll try and keep them out of the team. That was my focus. There was stages throughout the 4-year period with Bournemouth where they'd sign players such as Jordan Ibe. Junior was playing well. Ryan Fraser was playing well. But I'd spend there was 1 year, I think it was second season in the Premier League. I didn't kick my first ball until, was it the 27th of November off the top of my head, 2000. Can't remember the date.
As a player, from pre-season to then,
it's a long time.
Like a long time.
So it's 3-4 months, whereas running on my own, I was only in 2-3 squads, running on my own on a Saturday, doing gym work, and just obviously trying to keep myself fit. I was pulling the academy manager saying, is there a 23s game this week? I must have played in about 8-9 23s game. Wow. And then we played Leicester. They'd just won the title the year before. Beaten 1-0, I scored the winning goal, and then that season I ended up playing 26 games. So it's just been ready to,
What was Eddie Howe's message to you whilst you were not in the team and not in squads? Was it a case of you can look to go somewhere else, or just keep working hard?
He wanted me around the place because he knew even if I was out of the team, my attitude would be trying to keep everyone happy and around. And I think you need people like that in the dressing room sometimes. Obviously, he knew I was knocked off, I weren't playing, but the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone, don't let it show. Just, train well, keep performing well. And, I knew Eddie Howe had a lot of connections in the game as well. If it weren't going to work out at Bournemouth, I wanted him to give a good report on me. That's, if you gain a bad reputation, then it spreads. It's infectious. It's like, the day-to-day training. If you're playing with your head down, it spreads and it's going to cause a negative vibe. And I knew if my teammates were being successful, then I was going to get the gains as well, because you want to be a Premier League player, you want your teammates to win. And I was just working hard on myself every day just to try and get back in that team. And
there was a lot of love, obviously, from Eddie to you as a player and obviously as a person. Ultimately, it's knowing that he does value you, But at that time, you just have to trust the manager, don't you? You just have to go, look, I know you can't be emotional about it. These players are playing well. You just want me to be ready for when that time comes.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't let me go either, like, because he kept... He's that good. I mean, we got promoted to the Premier League, and I can't remember exact dates, about 3-4 months into it, he just pulled me in the office and he said, Pure, you deserve to be, on a bigger contract. So we're going to rip the contract. I had 2.5 years left.
Wow.
We're going to rip that up and give you a new contract because you deserve to be on more. And
that's amazing. You don't get that very often in football at all.
So he was that type of bloke, because there was a bit of interest again under Sean Dyche when he was at Burnley. Burnley wanted to sign me again. So I was at a point where I weren't really playing as much as I'd liked at the time. So I said to him, look, can we have a look at this? Because I think they bid 3 million for me or something at the time. And he just said, no, I don't want you to go. So I weren't playing because mentally I was, I was thinking about maybe potentially moving back home at the time. I had 2 kids, wife. I'd love to move back home as well. So that didn't materialise, and he just said, look, we'll give you a new contract to stay here. And I said, look, I'm more than happy to fight for my place if I'm under contract, because as you know, in football, you probably look back and you think if there's a contract there to be signed and you're happy and you're playing good football, then sign it. Because
but equally, Pure, you're not a fanboy, are you? You're not there just to sort of like ruffle the lads' feathers.
No.
You're like, look, I don't mind being a brilliant team player, but ultimately, I'm here to play.
100%. And I knew, and all my teammates will tell you, I knew I was a better player than Jordan Ibe. He had better ability than me. He was quicker than me, sharper than me. He could beat a man, but when you get put in front of a crowd, 11v11, I'd just be saying to myself, look, I deserve to be out there. And, that was a self-belief I had. I knew I'd get myself back in the team. And
so many moments, Pure, that I just got so much respect for, that it is easy to be positive when things are going well.
Yeah.
But what's key for me in your story from today's conversation and podcast is you have done it when it's not been going always to your liking. So listen, I'm not saying that you were down or you were, yes, of course it hurts not to play, but you put it into perspective. You've spoken about perspective, but then equally then you're like, look, yeah, all right, it's not going the way I exactly want it to go, but they're the moments. If you can just really visualise and really believe that something brilliant's coming around the corner and have the self-belief, then...
And put the work to that as well.
Yeah,
continue working.
Obviously put the work to it. Yeah, that goes without saying. And you're just a great example of what can be achieved. I think that's just a
I feel like that's when the biggest breakthroughs come through as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your career, whatever field you're in. If when things you have got that adversity, but you continue to work hard, you continue believing, then great things happen, don't they?
Incredible, mate. Honestly, that is fantastic. Not that you need to tell you.
So Premier League, talk about some of your best Premier League moments then.
It was eye-opening because we played Villa first game of the season, first year, and we got beat 1-0. We battered them, just couldn't score. Gastedi scored an header. They beat us 1-0. And we're thinking, this is Premier League football. They've had a couple of chances, half chances, and they've scored a goal. Played Liverpool second game of the season, got hammered 4-0. That was the team. Gerrard's last season. Yeah. Gerrard, Lucas, I think Wijnaldum were in midfield, and then we had Salah, Mane and Firmino in his prime. So they were tough. They battered us. But then third game of the season, this is a standout one for me. We played West Ham, Upton Park, scored my first Premier League goal, beat them 4-3. Callum Wilson scored a hat-trick that day. Yeah. And I was on the bench, came on, and I think Jenkinson's still sliding now. I chopped him. And
It's not like you to chop someone.
So that was a real fond memory for me.
The infamous Mark Pugh chop, mate. Christ, it's done a few defenders in that.
Biggery hold that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be a standout one in the Premier League for me. But I think every game you just got to take it as your last, because playing in these big stadiums against world-class players, testing yourself again. David Silva was one that stands out. What a player he was. Yeah. You've probably had a few run-ins with David Silva, haven't you?
Well, not run-ins, I think anywhere near him, but I watched him play.
Yeah. So another one at Old Trafford. I mean, we went 1-0 up. I ended up winning a penalty, chopping Phil Jones, another chop. And we went 1-0 up. I think they pulled it back. Second, went down to 10 men. Sirs got sent off after about 30 minutes, so I got dragged at half time.
Raging.
Raging. I had a really good first half as well, but we ended up grinding a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford. Artur Boruc saved his Zlatan penalty, so that was a fond memory.
What was your favourite stadium you played at?
It's a tough one. It's Emirates was brilliant.
Yeah.
Atmosphere was brilliant at Upton Park and Goodison Park.
Yeah, the older stadiums.
Yeah, the older stadiums. Anfield was brilliant before the game, so it's hard to pinpoint one. What was yours?
I'll say to you guys, I preferred the older stadium. So Goodison, Anfield. I really like Villa Park. Villa Park's a great thing.
Yeah.
Bit of like prestige about Villa Park for some reason. All underneath the change rooms, it's just quite. It's like massive everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Carpeted everywhere. Things like that. Whereas usually you're going down on concrete, aren't you, to the pitch? Like everywhere's carpeted, big dressing rooms. Yeah, a bit of prestige about it. But
homely, warm thing, isn't it? Yeah. I played there in the trophy final because Wembley had been knocked down.
Yeah.
Absolutely devastated not to play. But played at Villa Park and was just like completely blown away.
Yeah.
Stunning play.
But those, the older stadiums, Upton Park, that was raucous, wasn't it? There.
Yeah, it was brilliant there, weren't it? The atmosphere.
What do they call that one? And the just chicken run. I don't know what. No, not chicken run. The chicken shit. I don't know, something down the one end behind the goal, mate. It is carnage. With all the West Ham fans. It's amazing though.
Yeah, they're good.
Good set of fans, and they've great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Although at the minute Moyes has done an unbelievable job, and I just can't work it out.
Even speaking to Joe wouldn't speak bad of anyone, would he? But even he had a tough time with the West Ham. They were in that transition going to the Olympic Stadium, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think the club was in a bit of turmoil, and one misplaced pass, they were on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that baffles me.
Yeah, he's done amazing.
What an incredible job, and it's don't like his style of play. We'd rather get relegated playing good football. Okay.
Mental. Best goal in the Premier League?
Best goal.
We'll be able to find this, don't worry.
Yeah.
I can't say Goodison Park, it was a tap-in. West Ham was probably my best, I think.
Yeah.
I'd say West Ham. I can't remember other goals, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not very sentimental.
Yeah.
Who else did I score against? Can't remember.
We'll dig some out.
I'll go Upton Park for now. I've scored 5, I think.
Yeah,
so.
5.
Oh, amazing. We'll get all 5 of them out, can't we? We'll do a competition. Who thinks which is the best? Good at this, aren't we?
Yeah.
Who needs Sam?
So you find your time at Bournemouth eventually comes to an end. Was that a kind of similar situation to what you're talking about? You just weren't playing?
Yeah, so it was November. I spoke with Eddie. I wasn't playing at the time, and I just said to him, look, I'm coming up to the last year of my contract. It's one of them scenarios again. Look, if I was in my 9th season, so I'd love to get a testimonial at Bournemouth 10 years. So I said, if the club are willing to give me an extended year, I'm willing to fight for my place. And he says, I've tried, but the club, because you're 33 I think I was approaching 33 at the time, they want to invest in young talent, which is fair enough. They're evolving, they're trying to grow. He said, I'd love to keep you around, but I said, well, if I'm coming to my last year, I need to be playing football. If I haven't kicked a ball come January, can I go on loan? And he said, yeah, I'll give you my word. If you haven't kicked a ball, you can go on loan. So I ended up going on loan to Hull, which is 286 miles away from.
I was going to say.
So I was spending. That was really difficult. I was spending 3 weeks away at a time from the family. The gaffer was great, Nigel Atkins. He said, look, you can have Sunday, Monday off, but the last thing I wanted to do was take the piss. Do you know what I mean? Have Sunday, Monday off, but I'd only get Sunday anyway because I'd be travelling back up on Monday. It seemed pointless, so I would just dedicate myself to it. Really good loan move. I think 14 appearances, 3 goals, 4 assists, something like that. Played as a 10 winger, so I kept chopping and changing between the 10 and winger. And I just thought, I'm in a really good place here. Nigel Atkins mentioned that he wanted to sign me at the end of the season, and he ended up leaving Hull in the summer. So Hull had different ideas. They didn't sign me, and I was without a club, and I didn't end up signing for QPR until I did my own pre-season. It was only about 3 or 4 days until the start of the season when I signed for QPR, so I struggled to get a club that year.
Yeah.
Great time in your career to sign for the greatest team in the world, Queen's Park Rangers. It's the greatest thing. I'm a boyhood QPR.
This is the only bit Gav's prepped for.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know. I was like, who did he play for again? I know he played for QPR. My boy was like going, he played for QPR? I was like, yeah, he played for QPR. So how was that experience?
Yeah, it was really good actually. So,
of course it was.
I did my own pre-season. I trained with QPR for about 4 or 5 days, give or take, something like that. Did a bit of fitness testing, got chucked in. First game of the season for the last 30 minutes, Stoke City away.
Yeah.
You can imagine that we're 1-0 up, Stoke City away. Absolute running session for 30
Dry
minutes. Oh, just smashing balls forward.
So at least I can rely on my pre-season.
No. Who was manager?
Mark Warburton.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How did you find him?
He was okay.
He did really well at Brentford before that, didn't he?
Yeah. He was a nice guy. Meeting after meeting. But he was brought up
Meeting
in
about a meeting.
Yeah. But no, he was a good guy, and he was always honest with me. To be honest, it was difficult because I was enjoying it. I'd played 25 games before COVID hit. I had a stipulation in my contract again, that if I played 26 games, I'd get an extended year on my contract. I was due to start on the Saturday, and on the Friday, COVID hit. I was on 25 games. I was due to play my 26 on the Saturday. So that was that. And we went off on it was like a mini break, weren't it? I think it was about 2 or 3 months. Got myself fit. We did a mini pre-season before. I think we had 9 games left of the season to play. Went back in 3 or 4 days before we were due to play the next game. The gaffer pulled me and said the club aren't going to play you for that game because there's no fans in the stadium. We need to cut back on wages. So that was that. And I ended up seeing out that contract, my first contract, and then I was a free agent again.
Wow. Oh, so unlucky, isn't it?
It was effectively, I missed out by a minute as well. So on another stipulation in my contract, if I got on before the 75th minute,
counts as an appearance.
Then it counts as an appearance. So 71 minutes on one of the games, I was stood on the touchline for 4 minutes. The ball didn't go out of play. so it was like it just did not go out of play. So
this wasn't meant to be.
Then again, we go back to perspective, and to be stood on the touchline for 4 minutes for the ball not going out of play, you're just thinking like it's happened for a reason. So yeah, I just
were you living in London at this point, or were you commuting up from Bournemouth?
So I was up at 5:30 every day. I'd stay down Monday, Friday before a game. So in between, I'd travel. So that M25 is an absolute stinker.
Yeah,
I'd leave at 5:30 just to give myself enough time because it can take 2 hours 15 or 3-4 hours. You just never know.
Yeah.
I'd get in early, do my stretching. I stayed injury free all year, so I was just getting into the routine of doing the right things.
Yeah, but then out of contract again.
And questioning what I wanted after this, really. I had a great career. Do I want it to peter out? I struggled to get a club with QPR after having a good stint with Hull. There wasn't a lot of interest because of my profile of a player, winger, 10, not naturally the most gifted with pace. I could also play right back, but no one knew that. But it becomes difficult as you get older to get new contracts, and when you're a free agent, it became really difficult. And I sort of knew football wasn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
And then I signed 3 months for Shrewsbury on the Sam Ricketts, just to see if I still had the buzz for football, really.
Yeah. Did you?
It was difficult with fans not in the stadium because fans make the game what it is, and that atmosphere, you just can't beat it. Really enjoying playing on the Sam Ricketts. He tried to play the right way, 4-3-3. He was trying to look at Liverpool games and have that high press, and we were playing well, weren't we? To be fair, just didn't get the results.
We weren't getting the results, were
we played MK Dons away. I scored in that game. We drew 2-2. They scored
2 mistakes, though, wasn't it?
2 mistakes. Sam couldn't do anything about it, and he got the sack on the back of it.
Yeah, he was really unlucky that
he was
his last period at the club. There was just mistakes happening, wasn't there?
That is literally football management.
Yeah, we had like a goalkeeper on loan that he played, didn't he? And he just chucked 2 in against MK Dons. So we played really well that game.
Yeah, we
drew 2-2, and
Andrew Sermon played that game as well, didn't he? And they had a lot of possession, but we played really well. And mistakes cost managers jobs, unfortunately. Yeah. He fell short of that.
Yeah. And Steve Cottrell came in, and then.
Yeah, Steve came in, and first day of training, we had a 40-minute conversation. and he was saying all sorts to me, like I'm so pleased that you've had a great career, he says, like, we'll forget about what's been and gone. And I said, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I said it was the best thing that ever happened to me, so getting released has set me up to be the person I am today. And then we just kept chatting about stuff, and he sort of said to me, he said, there is one thing that stands out. I was like, oh, what's that? He said, I was in Bournemouth, a good few years back in Zara. I was like, oh, yeah. He said, and you pied me. You pied me. So I was like, no, I did. I said, I'm not the type of person to pie anyone. He said, yeah, you looked straight at me and you pied me. I was like, right, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So we had a long chat.
Can't imagine he'd take something like that personal, Steve, would he?
But then he came in and I sort of played as a 10, but he was a 10 where he just wanted me to sprint everywhere, basically. I think there was you and...
he tried me and you in the 10 to me, but at that point in our careers, we weren't athletic enough, were we, to do what he wanted to do. And he'd done that really successful in his managerial career, the way he played a 3-5-2, but the 10 in it was a real running 10, which maybe a few years earlier for us would have suited us down to the ground, but where we were in our career, it was difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've got to press full-backs, you've got to press centre-backs, you've got to be on the deep line midfielders. So if you've got a 10 who can just sprint about everywhere, then it works really well. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason, like I said. And, we had a good chat before my spell at Shrewsbury came to an end, myself and Steve, because he weren't playing me. And I just said, look, I'm at that age now where I don't need to be travelling away to stadiums in League One and just sat on the bench being away from my family. And that was that, really. We had an honest conversation, and he was good as gold. Steve's who he is, and he's been successful in stints of his management, and he does things how he wants to do, but I don't take that.
Sounds like you were very content with the situation anyway.
I think I was getting in training and stuff, I was getting a little bit frustrated at stupid things that wouldn't usually annoy me, whether it be drills that I didn't agree with and stuff, and that's not me. And I thought once I get to that stage, that's time to knock it on the head. And I did have some offers on the back of Shrewsbury. Michael Duff called me at Cheltenham and a few other clubs as well, a little bit higher up. And I just thought I need to make that decision now for myself, my family. I've had 18 pre-seasons, and I don't want football to retire me. I want to retire from the game and go into something I love and I'm really passionate about.
Love that.
Great career.
On your own terms.
Fabulous career. So then you got to finally move back home.
Yeah. So that was nice. I was in training. So it was 4 years ago now. I was training and I'd just finished and got a phone call off the missus. She went, I've done a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, what's that? She went, I've bought a plot of land. I was like, oh, have you?
Just like you do. Oh, right.
Yeah. So this was basically when we were kids, as with our parents and stuff, we used to go across to the Ribble Valley, Clitheroe Whalley area quite often. And it's a place we wanted to live for a long time. And, it's very rare that a plot of land comes up in that area.
I've done a thing. The other thing is she just bought herself a dress and you're like, just bought a plot of land.
So it worked out really well. I mean, we're really settled, got family in around us. My brother lives down the road. Our families live 25, 30 minutes away. So from being away from our family for such a big period in our lives, really important to being in around the family now.
Yeah. And you did have a tiny little stint at Clitheroe as well. Yeah. Before you finally hung up your boots just for five-a-side.
Couldn't let it go.
Couldn't let it go. So it was last season. They were on at me all year to play, and I'm like, look, I can't do things half-hearted. I'm not just turning up on a Saturday to play. You've got to be conditioned. So I said to him, you got to train Tuesday. They train Tuesday, Thursday evenings and Saturdays. I said, I can't commit to that at the moment. So that was that. Anyway, there was about 5 games left for the season. I said, we're in a playoff push here. Come on, come and play. So my schedule freed up a little bit towards the end of the season. I wasn't seeing as many clubs. So I said, go on then, I'll play 5 games because my brother plays for him. I'll tick a box. We're playing for him. First game, my brother got injured and was out for the season.
And you just ghosted straight in.
So we played, we got in the playoffs and we ended up losing to Workington away. They were a decent passing team, to be fair, at that level. And so ticked a box there. And I just did it because a bit of money for charity. They said, we'll pay your wages. I said, no, we'll just donate it to charity.
Brilliant.
So giving a little bit back to the community as well near me.
Yeah.
And then you did finish it all off by playing in the charity game for Dave, didn't you?
Yeah, run that then.
You did, yeah.
You did.
It's got a great goal as well. Wow. What a goal that was.
Listen, let's talk about that goal.
We can definitely get this footage up. We've got that.
Blatantly
should we talk about both of them?
It's It's a great delivery. I'll give you that. It's a great delivery. It's a great header from me.
Hey, I tell you what, it brushed the eyebrow in it.
It's a great header. I mean, I felt like when I headed it, all I could think of was Duncan Ferguson. That's all I could think of. And they're going on I think I did it on Twitter, didn't I? And I was like, absolutely fuming. You're running off like this. And I'm like, no, that was my goal. I scored. Pewey's like, yeah, scored 2. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You had your shirt off, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like that. Johnny Methog or Johnny Methog.
Pewey come on the second half for Shrewsbury against the Wolves team, losing at half time, weren't they? Came on, changed the game.
Yeah.
Won it. Was it 4-3 in the end of the game? I think it was, wasn't it?
So, something like that.
They weren't ready for you, mate, were they? They were like,
chopping everyone up.
He's only little, he'll be all right. And then all of a sudden, and Derek as well, wasn't it? Derek Asamoah.
Yeah.
He had a go as well, didn't he?
To be fair, they were fresh first half, weren't they?
Yeah.
Did they change many second half?
No, the squad was a bit more depleted than the Shrewsbury one.
Yeah.
You've got to be conditioned for these things. Don't make excuses for them.
Jarvo scored a great free kick as well, didn't he, Matt Jarvis? Still got a bit in the legs, hasn't he?
Yeah.
They all did, didn't they? Just tell, couldn't you? Who was the Jones in midfield?
Dave Jones.
Class.
Yeah, he was rubbish,
Class
wasn't
Yeah, he's where is he? He's at Wrexham now, isn't he? Assistant manager there.
Yeah.
Thank God for me, Pewey, and Derek Asamoah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. But let's talk just briefly before we go, sort of what you're doing now, because obviously you did the nutrition stuff while you're playing for your playing career, but obviously it's developed and now it's a huge passion of yours, and now you're sort of created a whole new profession for yourself.
Yeah, so it was like a passion project. 33, I was at QPR, and I just thought I'm going to start promoting what I'm implementing in my daily life. Set up the Foodie Footballer Instagram on when I was at QPR, and I just started posting on recovery tips, foods for overall health, whether it be reducing body fat, improving performance, helping with inflammation. And it kind of took off a little bit, and I got a lot of good feedback. Got approached by the EFL, Simon Williams, and he just said, do you fancy coming on the life skills program for the 72 EFL clubs? So, I mean, again, we go back to visualization and things happening for a reason. I kind of put it out there that I'd want to go into clubs and try and help the younger generation improve the nutrition, the health, the fitness mindset. And it just came along within 3 or 4 days, just for a connection. And he reached out to me. So I jumped to the chance. I wanted to try and make a difference in people's lives. And I'm absolutely loving it at the minute. So, yeah, I'm doing that with online health coaching. I get into different businesses to try and promote health through, continuous personal development. So, yeah, I'm trying to help staff members become healthier because, if you sat at a desk or travelling all day, you feel like rubbish, don't you? So just trying to get moving more and eating the right things make you feel a lot better about yourself.
And you're just going to try and continue to grow that, get into more clubs, more sports, more businesses?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to make a difference in people's lives and make them feel happier and healthier, because I know for a fact, the better I eat and the more I exercise, the happier I feel, and I feel more productive as well. I feel like at work as well, if I get my workout in, whether it be gym, whether it be football, I just feel like I'm ticking as many boxes as I can, and I feel better about myself. So if I can make a difference in my presentations with 40, 50 lads, and if I can make a difference to 2 or 3 of those in that room, then that's all I want, really.
But I'm on your Instagram quite a lot, looking at some of the stuff that you put up, and the thing that strikes me is, I totally get it. Like for a sportsman or a sportswoman, it's there. There's so much brilliant information, and there's so much to delve into, and what you offer is incredible. But just life in general, you said there about people being in the office, and you're saying earlier about a couple of your clients. You've got 50-year-old who might suffer from diabetes, or you've got someone in the Premier League who's like really at the top of his game at the moment. And you said earlier about us, everybody's different. You're able to sort of almost make it bespoke, aren't you, and really cater to that individual or that group of people. Yeah,
it's got to be personalised, because someone might have intolerances, allergies, and it's all about blood sugar control. So balancing your blood sugar levels throughout the day will provide you with long sustained energy. If you've got insulin spikes and you're eating processed foods, ultra processed foods, then you're not going to be as productive as you want. So whole foods, sticking to the outside aisles in shops, supermarkets, your fresh fruit, your veg, your chicken, your fish, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be ridiculously expensive as well. And a lot of people, you see them filling the trolleys full of processed foods, cereal, donuts. It's just as expensive just to eat that kind of rubbish. Because if you meal prep, if you make 3 to 4 meals, stick in Tupperware in the fridge, it becomes a lot cheaper then as well. And I always say in my presentation, if you were to get, say, 4 Big Macs from McDonald's, you're looking at 20 odd quid. Whereas imagine the amount of meals you can make for that money. So people have got this perception that eating well has to be expensive. It doesn't if you're strategic about it.
I think knowledge is a big thing, isn't it? Because, like, again, like for me and Dave, obviously there's a base of an understanding. Yeah, we know what to do, what not to do to a certain point, and obviously that then goes to the next level with you, who's an expert in that area. But I think that's where people maybe, just like they go to the gym and they look for that personal trainer and they look for a little bit of wisdom or a little bit of knowledge around that sort of sector of that they want to improve. This is something, again, especially today with probably over the last 20 years, our processed food's been really introduced into everybody's diet through the supermarkets and whatnot. This is where people can reach out to the likes of yourself, can't they, and say, look, you don't have to be panicky and, I don't really know much about it and I'll go the easy route and that's on offer and I'll pull that in. Actually, they can look you up on Instagram and touch base and you can help support that, like a PT would do, like a one-to-one football trainer would do. They can come to you and look for that.
Yeah, with my coaching, it's about accountability as well. So it's all done via my app and it's really personalised. We do weekly check-ins. I always start everything with a Zoom call. So I don't only want to say, here's your plan, off you go. It's got to be that personal approach. I want to get to know people and their lives and the way the schedule works, and it's got to work for them, because if someone's working 7 days a week, we need to fit into that schedule. Right, are they going to do 30 minutes of exercise, whether it's a walk, jog, swim, bit of football, whatever it may be, and then getting the nutrition around that plan as well. I think it's got to be really personalised because everyone's different. It's not a one-suit-fits-all approach. It's got to be working for them on a day-to-day basis. So, making a difference to someone who's overweight or wants to gain some lean muscle mass. It's like my goal in football, scoring a goal. There's no better feeling. Dave will tell you. You
no, he hasn't scored any.
Couple of good clearances.
It's a great feeling. So, I've had a few clients message me this week. I mean, a couple of athletes, they've dropped the body fats by 9 mil. They're looking a lot leaner, so I absolutely buzz off that. It's like scoring a goal, and if one of my clients who's got diabetes, he says to me, "Oh, I've had no spikes in insulin and stuff." I get a real buzz off that now, and it's my why in life now.
It doesn't have to be a difficult thing, Pete. There are people out there. There are ways of going to understand about food a little bit more and the impact it can have on your life.
No, it's absolutely amazing. And I'd recommend anyone, if you're an athlete, 100%, if any footballers listen to this, and we'll get some clips out, you got to go and check out Pewey. Have a look at his Instagram, Foodie Footballer, isn't it? At Foodie Footballer.
Yeah, the Foodie Footballer, and in my bio as well, I've got all my website links and everything. Yeah. I've written a course based around the perfect athlete, so it's like 18 modules, just what I learned, but it's relevant to how I live my life as well. It's got like 110 lessons, over 3 hours worth of video content.
I know it will, Pewey. It's been a long time. But eventually we've got there, we've got there. Well done.
Yeah, but if you're an athlete or a footballer in particular, you'd be crazy not to check out Pewey, because it's something which will definitely elevate your performance and your career. I've no doubt about that. And then anyone else listening as well who doesn't know where to start to make life change, they know they need to, then go out and check. Just for tips on your Instagram, I look at your Instagram all the time. Yeah. Some of the recipes look incredible. Honestly, you're looking at the way they're cooked, you think, why can't I do that?
Have you made a few or what?
I like the recent one you put up. This might go out of date a little bit in terms of us saying it, but the Asian salmon that you say is a family favourite in your house.
Yeah, because a lot of my family members didn't like salmon until they tried this, because it's quite a fishy if they don't season it. But with a teriyaki sticky glaze, it's beautiful, like really nice. You can't.
And that's the best thing about all your recipes is food that you'd usually say that's quite bland. It's not very tasteful, but then the stuff you do to it to obviously enhance it is really good. So you give a lot of methods to how you cook your foods and different types of recipes on there, so please go and check that out.
Me, in terms of like the cooking, because I enjoy cooking, but I don't really have the knowledge. So when I've done a couple of the meals, and it's like I actually enjoy cooking. So like you say, putting spices in there, like if I do something, because I don't have the knowledge, everything's very bland, but doing some of the meals has been good. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's just the education in it. Like you can pick up so much on YouTube, whatever it may be. And whenever I create a marinade or a meal, I think sweet, spicy, sour, salty, get that balance right, and just make sure if you're using something sweet, let's use honey rather than your sugar. If you're using something sour, lime juice, lemon juice, whatever it may be. So just balancing the flavours to every meal makes a huge difference.
But you make it a lot easier.
Yeah, good practice that.
Well, that's been brilliant, mate. It's unbelievable to hear your journey, but then the resilience. We always speak about resilience. The resilience you've shown on that journey, the law of attraction, the way you think and sort of attract stuff into your life by visualising and working. An absolute model professional. So
key thing for me, just visualising it, having that faith when it might not be going totally your way. So uplifting, mate. Really appreciate that. And again, another reason the podcast has been incredible today is no Sam.
Yeah.
So, it's just felt better, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we'll make an approach for Pewey after. Let's put Pewey in. Sam's really it's like in the team, he's lost his place now, hasn't he? You know, if you're not present, you don't perform, you lose your place. You've got to work hard to get back in there. So
we're doing Eddie Howe, so you can stick around it, but just have to wait for his chance again.
Yeah, he can do the teas for a bit, can't he?
It'd make a good tea, boy.
Yeah, he would do. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I trust him to make me a cup of tea, but
yet to find out.
Yeah. No, brilliant, mate. Thanks so much for coming in, mate. Been brilliant.
Thank you
for having me.
And thank you to everyone for listening and watching on YouTube. And we'll be back soon.
Look forward to it.